Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. It's Thursday afternoon. Militiaman and Crew here. We have a big day today. It was pretty cool. We had a lot of people show up in our Patreon and Discord chat room this afternoon. We had all the data, from Samson and the crew members, and a guest, Angel One, was with us this afternoon. Some of the things that we were discussing in there, you're going to see tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but the bottom line is that everybody got charged. Everybody's pretty happy about it. So let's see where we go. So the Wall Street Journal this morning came out with an article that says Iraq asked for $1 billion in cash this time. Washington said no, so they couldn't get their money. And I'll go into this. It says Iraq was seeking a special shipment of $1 billion in cash, not electronic, but cash, from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. But officials have withheld approval, saying that the request runs counter to the efforts to rein in Baghdad's use of the dollars and illicit cash flows to Iran. So that's pretty heavy. I guess they get $10 billion annually, and this particular tranche that they wanted specifically in cash was denied, or at least it's being could be considered in the future, could be considered in the background, but ultimately one of the things is that they want to curb the illicit movement of money, and so therefore if they're talking about saying no to this happening, the main thing is most likely is not going to happen. So what happens there as it goes, it says, the Treasury is still considering this, and we're going to find out. The behind-the-scenes wrangling highlights Baghdad's unique dependence on the dollar and the little-known system of supplying it with the prized U.S. currency, as they put it. I find that pretty fascinating. Ultimately, look, there's been a vast amount of dollar flows through, loosely regulated bodies in Iraq, through banks, exchange shops, circumstances like that, and basically they feel that it ends up in fraudulent transactions and money laundering. So by that I say that that $1 billion is probably highly likely not going to take place, but again, they could negotiate and figure out a way to use it. But ultimately I think, spending $1 billion in cash, and if it leaks into bordering countries, which there are many, it's a waste of money. I think al-Sudani probably understands that and realizes that the time is now to push forward and stop that illicit trade. Basically, it says the Treasury officials told the Iraqi central bankers that sending large extra shipments is contrary to what Washington's goals are, reducing Iraq's use of banknotes in favor of more easily traceable electronic transactions. That would be the preferred method, therefore they could follow the money, okay? Follow it, not necessarily in a bad way, but if it's going for illicit drug trade, if it's going for nefarious reasons, terrorism, money laundering, all that stuff, yeah, if they have to curb the cash in a specific form, therefore it probably helps out, and it's going to help the citizens themselves, because saving their money, if they're stealing the money and it's burning outside the citizens' hands, their bottom dollar in the end is hurt. So I think the citizens, the real citizens that are on the up and up, like most of us out here, realize that that goes against our best interests. So the CBI, Central Bank of Iraq, I think the U.S. Treasury is looking for that. It says that the United States, along with the central bank, it says the U.S. supports Iraqis' steps to promote the use of the local currency inside of the country, and that is, basically a good thing. It's here. It says Iraqi officials with ties to powerful militias, deeply involved in dollar transactions, have denounced these restrictions imposed by Washington, calling them an infringement on Iraqi sovereignty. Well, of course they will. It's their cash cow. Why would you go against the cash cow coming in when you're making a spread off illicit trade? It's It's an amazing situation, but they're consistently working on it, and I think that's in our best interest, and we have support for it to be in our best interest. So we're going to see how that goes. It says U.S. has agreed to continue working together with Iraq, taking positive steps towards a meaningful, lasting reforms that will raise Iraq to international standards and prevent fraud, sanctions, evasion, terrorist financing, and other illicit activities. So the ultimate goal here is all of that, and that will support the citizens in the end, and getting into an international market. Everybody knows that there's big countries coming in. Iraq has been having meetings with the World Trade Organization. We haven't got all of that yet from the news sources that we have. We do know that tomorrow there's more slated private meetings on the agenda. Do they disclose exactly who's going to be involved in that? No, they don't. They decide that they can keep that quiet. But anyway, we do know that they had some meetings on the 4th, today's the 5th, and tomorrow's the 6th, meaning that there are some other things happening. You can go onto the WTO site and see for yourself if that's the case, and I think you'll find that I support my work. So basically, one more time, the U.S. supports Iraq's steps to promote the use of the local currency inside of the country of Iraq, okay? That's what they're going to do. They're going to support it. And you're going to find that there's going to be potentially some interesting things happen this weekend, as early as Sunday. But before I get to that, it looks like the Central Bank of Iraq has denied expectations attributed to it indicating that the exchange rate would reach 170,000 dinars for $100. Well, if you remember, right, the parallel market is a black market. It's illegal. Okay? They're not supposed to be doing it. I think it's Central Bank Law 56 that says they're supposed to be doing only trade in the dinar. And these articles are supporting the fact that is at some point in time, whether it be today, tomorrow, or the next day, or out to the end of the year, they're going to de-dollarize the country. Excuse me. But keep that in mind. So when they come out and says there's the reference that was made in the press meeting to expectations for that the exchange rate would reach 1,700, and that the central bank has tools that it uses to reduce the difference between the two prices, there are no indications that the exchange rate in the parallel market will reach this level. Again, I reiterate, the parallel market is illegal, and so they know that. The reason for it is many reasons, but the ultimate reason is because there's illicit trade going on, and there's fraud, money laundering, and the ultimate goal is to get rid of it. So that's why they're working on this. They have mechanisms to do so, and I think we all know that one of the mechanisms is to de-dollarize the country and give a good reason for it. So if you're going to de-dollarize the country, you're going to need to bring it some value, because a dollar is worth a lot more than a dinar at the moment. Here it says, the gentleman says that the reforms undertaken by the Central Bank of Iraq aim to achieve compliance of the bank and the banking system in general, and with international compliance standards, and to prevent the dollar from reaching parties prohibited from obtaining it or speculating with it. So there you go. They're not only going to do it just because the U.S. Treasury does, it's because the international world expects it. And it's fascinating is because, in my opinion, there is a focus on the accuracy and compliance. International standards and curbing those that are prohibited in trading the dinar or speculating with it will not continue. That's their point. This is likely why that $1 billion in cash that we talked about was requested by Iraq, was denied by the U.S. Treasury thus far. So we'll have to see how that turns out. I personally think that it's probably not going to happen, but we're going to see how it is. So in this particular article, another one on the same sort of topic, it says that Iraq prohibits cash withdrawals in dollars in early January. Okay, so they set the stage. You have a push for quickly, if you understand this, and then for a little bit of time still. So ultimately, their goal is to de-dollarize the country. They've been working on this for a long time. Their job is not to specifically say we're going to change your rate on Thursday of next week. They're not going to do that. They just will not. So I think everybody should understand that by now. But the best of our knowledge is why we bring in the news. That's why we show you articles that we get on a regular basis. There's pros, cons, and some of them are contradictory. So it takes a while to figure out what are they going to do. But the fascinating thing is if, like, for instance, you go into Patreon and you go into the search menu, you can go back and see some of these things, like the WTO. The international trucking situation, the development road plan, the Silk Road plan. You can not Google it, actually. You just go into the search bar and do this stuff and go back a couple of months. There's a little tab in there. You can go back in September, July, August, May, April, February, whatever you want to do, right? Specific things. And you can move forward and you can see that all these things that I've been telling you about have subsequently started to show a pattern of completion. It's fascinating. It works for me. I think it'll work for you. What else? Let's see. Basically, the official says in this particular case today that the country will ban cash withdrawals and transactions in dollars starting from January 1st, 2024. So there's a date right there that basically says that if we have to go out that long, that they are going to cease dollar transactions. And why? Because they don't want to have people evading the U.S. sanctions on Iran. Okay, well, that's one excuse. And it says basically that because of the fact that they have monies, et cetera, in the Bank of New York, the Federal Reserve System, it says they did a step that comes as part of a broader campaign to stop the economy's dependence on the dollar after residents began to prefer the U.S. currency over the dinar. So they want to stop that process. They want the dinar to change places, go back over. Right? They want the dinar to be the main go-to place. They do go on to say that they can get deposits all the way up to 2004, but anything after that, it's all going to be paid in the official exchange rate. Here they remind you that the exchange rate is at 13.20. But remember, the project to delete the zeros still exists per Al-Alaq. Again, back to Patreon. You can see. Just go in there and just type in that the project delete zeros, and you're going to find evidence of what I just said is absolutely true. Basically, look, there's more to this than meets the eye. We see that there's articles on liquidity issues. The United States is completely interested in allowing them as much time as they can to de-dollarize, but there comes a time, enough time is enough. This statement that I'm going to get to is basically supporting what I'm saying with respect to timing. So there's certain timings that they're painting. Again, they're not going to tell you each day that we're going to do it tomorrow or the next day. They're going to paint a picture basically because that's all they're responsible for. And here's a picture that presents what you're all been waiting for probably and hopeful for. Again, I gave you some time frames that may not feel comfortable for you, but the fact is that again we have timings that support that they're actually moving on things. Things have happened behind the scenes faster than you understand or believe. Okay, again, the World Trade Organization is quiet. They haven't said anything, and they're having meetings tomorrow that are quiet. So you got to go, well, is it meant for us? Is it meant, or do we have a need to know just yet? And the answer is, at the retail level, no, we don't. But we do the best that we can, and we get good information, and that's why I've done this channel, is to help other people at least navigate through this investment that we're in. But this is an article that comes out. It says the dollar is out of control. What will happen in Iraq's banks on Sunday? That's in a couple days. It says, despite repeated denials and official reassurances, an informed banking source in Baghdad expected that next Sunday will be an unusual day in all Iraqi banks and may witness unprecedented overcrowding and crowding at cash withdrawal windows after dramatic statement that was presented by the central bank official in saying that withdrawing the dollar in cash and receiving foreign transfers will stop as of the beginning of next year in an effort for the government to limit transactions in dollars to the maximum extent, coinciding with almost a year since the beginning of the American strictness in transferring money in Iraq. So look, they're talking about the withdrawal from specific windows, and they're talking about overcrowding, cash withdrawals. When? Sunday. Okay, that's what the article says. So let's see what happens, okay? Because it's pretty fascinating and good information. Those 3 little bits and pieces of articles that I came out with today were pretty powerful. So look, all of you that are new to Militia Man and Crew, I thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys coming in. And look, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe, hit that like button. And of course, all of this effort takes work. We have a massive crew that seems to be in the background to everybody. And it's true that there's quite a few people that are involved in this, and we support your help. So if you want to hit that Venmo or that PayPal or however you'd like to donate, it helps keep this place going smoothly and efficiently and bringing you guys quality data. So thank you very much.
Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.